He is one of the greatest entertainers of all time.
He is one of the top artists ever.
I'll be performing the songs my fans want to hear.
And perhaps the most misunderstood.
You never hear about Michael having a temper. You never hear about him yelling at anybody.
But his superstardom was overshadowed by ugly charges.
Now, I don't care if you're Michael Jackson or if you're Jesus Christ himself. You do not molest children.
Michael Jackson was completely innocent of everything he was charged with.
So when Michael Jackson died, some began to wonder, although sleep-inducing drugs killed him, was his soul already shattered many years before? June 25th, 2009. A day that begins like any other in Los Angeles, California. It's the middle of the summer, and Tinseltown is bustling with activity. But in a heartbeat, the city of angels stops in its tracks. News spreads that Michael Jackson has fallen seriously ill.
Paramedic 33, what is your address of emergency?
It begins with a desperate call to 911.
Yes, sir. I need an ambulance as soon as possible, sir.
And what's the problem? Exactly what happened?
Sir, we have a gentleman here that needs help, and he's not breathing. He's not breathing, and we're trying to pump him, but he's not.
Okay, how old is he?
He's 50 years old, sir.
Little does the operator know that the 50-year-old man who is in grave danger is Michael Jackson.
He's unconscious, he's not breathing?
Yes, he's not breathing, sir.
Is he on the floor? Where's he at right now?
He's on the bed, sir. He's on the bed.
Okay, let's get him on the floor. I'll help you with CPR right now.
The news goes viral, and the world holds its breath as an all-too-familiar Hollywood tragedy begins to play out. Crime writer Aphrodite Jones is in Los Angeles researching another story. When news leaks out that Michael Jackson is seriously ill, Aphrodite Jones is called by several news organizations to comment. In 2007, Jones wrote a book about Michael Jackson, a book that said he was railroaded by the media. Across town, Jackson's manager and close personal friend Frank DeLeo is having lunch in Beverly Hills.
I got a call from a fan who said, "Do you know there's an ambulance in front of Michael's gate?" I said, "You're kidding." I said, "No, I don't know." I said, "Let me find out." I hung up, called Michael's assistant, who said, "I'm on my way to Michael's house. The doctor is with him, but I don't think it's good."
Paramedics take a desperately ill Michael Jackson from his rented house in Bel Air to UCLA Medical Center.
So at this point, do you think he's dead, or do you...
No, I think he's alive.
Because you just saw him the night before.
You're right.
And he's fine.
He is fine.
Absolutely fine.
Absolutely fine.
DeLeo had visited Jackson the night before at the Staples Center, where Jackson was rehearsing for his upcoming concert series, This Is It.
There wasn't chest pains, there wasn't... I mean, not even an inkling?
Nothing. He rehearsed like there was no tomorrow. Michael was never happier in his life.
DeLeo rushes to UCLA Medical Center, where Jackson has been taken. He is one of the first to arrive.
We were sitting outside the room, and we could hear them working. You know, things clattering and pumps going and machinery. And we sat there for maybe an hour, and the nurse came out and said, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Frank DeLeo. I'm Michael's manager. How is he?" She went, I said, "What do you mean?" "He's gone. He's been brain dead for maybe 2 hours." She said, "And we're just going to keep him on till his mother gets here."
Outside of the hospital, hundreds of fans have gathered and anxiously await news of Jackson's condition. It's not long before Michael's mother, Catherine Jackson, arrives.
security said, Mrs. Jackson's showing up. We got her into a room. What do you think, Frank? I'm not sure yet. I didn't know what to say, you know? And then I let the doctor, this cardiologist, was standing by, tell her. I was very emotional. She grabbed me right away, and we cried.
One of the things that you had to do, aside from telling Katherine Jackson that her son was passed away, is you had to actually go to Michael's Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
And tell them. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
That was one of the roughest things I've ever done in my life. I went in with the social worker and the doctor, and they were in there with a nanny. And I had to tell them, and it was, I mean, what happened in that room should stay in that room. But it was extremely emotional, extremely emotional. Just one of the saddest things I ever had to do.
News of Jackson's death triggers an international outpouring of grief.
Michael really didn't understand demographics, age, you know, race, nationality. I mean, everybody loved him.
Pearl Jr. is a documentary filmmaker who has reported extensively about the life and times of Michael Jackson.
For a long time before I covered the trial, I didn't know what a real fan was.
You and I had talked about this, I think, some years ago.
For the past 4.5 years of my life, since covering the trial, he had been an everyday presence in my life. So I end up knowing a lot about him, meeting family members, talking to them, and you just consider yourself a Michael Jacksonologist after a while.
When attorney Tom Mesereau watches news coverage of Jackson's death, he sees two different stories. As the lawyer who successfully defended Jackson in his 2005 molestation trial, Mesereau sees the emotional response of loyal fans as genuine. But when he reads the heartfelt comments of Michael's so-called closest friends, he sees hypocrisy.
All these people are coming out of the woodwork now trying to pretend that they loved him, they cared about him. And I happen to know, because I was in the inner sanctum preparing his defense, that many of these people refused to get involved at all when we needed them. There are a number of celebrities who've been on television professing their great love for him. I know when we approached them that they refused to cooperate. They didn't want to get involved.
In 2005, Tom Mesereau represented Jackson in what the media dubbed a notorious trial of the century.
Did you ever think he was capable of molesting a child?
Never. When I first got into the case, I didn't know him. I enter every case with an open mind. I want to get to know the client as a human being, and I want to look at the evidence.
And yet, for Michael, his life was on trial.
I didn't care what the media or anybody else was saying. I wanted to see what I was going to see. And very quickly, I realized that this person was incapable of molesting or harming any child.
Jackson was indicted on 10 felony counts of conspiracy and child molestation against a 13-year-old cancer survivor who stayed with him at his Neverland Ranch. For Mesereau, this was one of the final brutal attacks on the performer, attacks that had lasted more than a decade. Attacks that, in Mesereau's opinion, struck at the core of Michael Jackson.